100.
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants. Okay,
100.
boys and girls, here we go. It is the 100th Play Pants podcast. I remember the day I called Jason Ginty up and I said, hey, man, you want to do a podcast? I don't know how to do it, but you want to do a podcast? Still don't know how to do it, but I remember the call. And then I thought you were going to say, no, dummy. And then you actually said yes. And then the testing and everything, again, we don't know what we're doing, but man, did we really not know anything in the beginning.
Yeah, it's funny how we tested we what do we do, 3 or 4 test drives just to see if we could do it. Yeah,
testing just to see if it was even possible and sustainable and all of that. So here we are with episode 100. Couple of things. You've been getting some rain over there as well, because man, we were without rain forever here in Houston, and finally we're getting some rain. I'm not even upset about it. Okay, it's cooled off a little bit, and then it kind of hit me. Man, we haven't done rain songs. I didn't send any backups. I didn't send anything. I just said, dude, rain songs, top 5 favorite rain songs, and you came back quickly with an okay. So I was happy about that.
Yeah. It's not what I said, but yeah, no, it meant okay. Let's put it that way. It meant okay. And I looked it up, and I don't think Harry Styles has any rain songs. So I'm not real happy about my list tonight.
Dude, Harry's pissed. You didn't include him in your food songs.
He's upset.
Harry
upset.
is pissed off. Speaking of, I wanted to take a look quickly. Last week, appreciate all the interaction and all the views. And we did get a couple of new subscribers on our podcast page. It's Play Pants Pod on the YouTube. And Charles Taylor said he just kind of listed off a bunch of his favorite. We did the food list last week. Sex and Candy, Marcy Playground.
Nice.
Cherry Pie, Eat Me, Raw Dingo. Cherry Pie is the worst song ever written. I'm sorry, Charles.
It's so bad.
It is the absolute worst song. Cheeseburger in Paradise, I like. Sugar by Maroon 5, Custard Pie, Zeppelin song.
Oh, okay.
Neither has a song called Burrito. I don't know that.
I saw that pop up on a couple people's lists last week, and I'm like, okay, never heard it. I love that band.
Cool Karen put 100 songs down here. Okay, honorable mentions, but she did. She said Black Coffee, Humble Pie, Rock Lobster, B-52s, Brown Sugar, Stones, Mayonnaise, Pumpkins. Pound Cake, Van Halen made it on a couple of lists. And I thought for sure that was the one shocker for me, that I thought absolutely you were going to have that. It is probably Sammy's dumbest lyrics ever. I think that's what you kind of had mentioned, that's why it kept it off of your list.
And I love the song. The hook is great. It's just balls to the wall. And it's dude, anything else, man. Don't be talking about cake.
Yeah, the Pound Cake was a little silly. The lyrics are really, really silly. So, but thank you guys. And hopefully you guys can help us out with this list today, as we're going to be talking about our favorite songs about rain. I just wanted to revisit because, we could reflect a little bit. It's the 100th podcast. I don't remember what number podcast it was, but still to this day, the Hall & Oates top 5 is probably the strangest one that we went for.
Yeah, I would say so. Why would we ever do that? I mean, obviously, and again, the reason. Let me go back a little farther. Were we celebrating Hall's birthday or Oates? Because Hall is having a birthday today. He's 77. I feel like we were celebrating Oates. It was probably Oates because he's the second fiddle, man. He's he's the Luke to Bo, in the Dukes of Hazzard. He's the second guy, and it's let's go with Oates because it's just Oates, and he doesn't get to sing as much and stuff. So yeah, I think that one was an odd one, but again, the top 5 lists are so great, and I say it all the time, is that I discover a shit ton of music because we do these lists.
Yeah,
a shit ton, and that's what makes it so much fun.
And then I shared with everybody Call-in Oats.
Yes.
And I checked it today. It's still available as a service to anyone that wants to call. It's Call-in Oats. You call up, and then it asks you, what Hall & Oates song would you like to hear? And think about this. This has been around a long, long time. I did this bit 20 years ago. 719-266-2837. That's Call-in Oats. And if you just need a Hall & Oates song, I realize this was before we had smartphones.
Yeah.
This was before you had YouTube and you can get anything you want whenever you want it. Back in the day, kids, you had to call Oates to get Hall & Oates on demand. So again, that phone number is 719-266-2837. Happy birthday to the great Daryl Hall, who that show, I don't know, maybe on Access TV, like Daryl's House. Have you ever caught any of those where they're like jamming and playing at his house? Yeah, they're great.
Some of it's pretty good, man. There's a couple I saw. I'm like, okay, I don't know about that one, but there's been some really cool ones, and I love the fact that we have that kind of access now to so many different artists, where they'll let you in, and to see these different artists jam is so much fun. It's so freaking cool. Even like I said, even if it don't always work, it's cool to see these artists get together and jam. He's had a lot of people come through his house too.
And on maybe the best episode when Sammy was on, speaking of Sammy Hagar, Sammy asked him, hey, did Van Halen ever call you to be their singer? And he said, yes, Eddie did call him back in the day. Can you imagine Daryl Hall singing for Van Halen? I had heard that rumor forever. Yeah. And Sammy also said that he had always heard that rumor because it's so strange.
Right.
And Daryl Hall backed it up. He said, yeah, Eddie called him. But see, and talked to him about singing in the band. I don't know if a formal offer was ever made, but wow.
Daryl Hall is always, from what I've heard millions of times, is that he's got one of the most soulful voices ever.
It's awesome.
And to hear him try and sing a couple of Van Halen tunes, you know what? Maybe he'd have to get a little bit edgier, but he just seems too, he's too Hall & Oates like. Van Halen doesn't seem to work.
It was just fun to get confirmation on that because it was just the strangest, weirdest story ever. Like, there's no way that happened. Oh, that did happen.
Yeah.
Damn.
But you gotta, it's like when you go to hire somebody, you cast a wide net and you start whittling it down. You talk to everybody. That's the best way to hire somebody. Throw it out there. See who's available.
I work with a guy here. He's a huge Hall & Oates fan. So big. Like, you go, how big is he? He's such a big fan. He went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony when they went in. Also going in that year was the E Street Band. And he said every damn one of them went up there and talked. So there's a reason that they kind of, they edit that thing down for us to watch on TV. And it's, as it is, it's probably 3 hours when they edit it down. But he went and he said he was just there forever. He said it was great. It was a cool thing to be at, but every single member of the E Street Band got their 50, and they used like 15 minutes, or 10 minutes.
Oh my God. Who's got that? Oh man, that's terrible. That's just
the tambourine player got to talk for 15 minutes,
I've been whacking this tambourine for so long on my hip, man. My one hip is more callous than the other. It's such a mess. Yeah, that's fucked up, dude. Daryl Hall, 77 years old. David Lee Roth just turned 69 the other day.
Oh, really?
Yes. And Sammy's going to be like, I don't know, 90. like on the 13th.
Sammy's older.
October. So yes, these guys, you start seeing these numbers, you're like, sweet mother. Wow.
Hey, went to a concert last night.
I saw that.
I went to go see the Foo Fighters in a 5,000 seat venue here in Houston, the 713 Music Hall. It's a great place for a show. It's just kind of like a big big hall. But 5,000 people, bro. I mean, packed. I wasn't even trying to. I mean, I know you've seen them 100 times. Me too. I wasn't even trying to worm my way and do that whole, I wasn't even up for doing that. I was way in the back. And I'll tell you what, I enjoyed it. I didn't need to be up front. I could understand people that have never seen them before. What was interesting was, a lot of people coming up wanted to take a picture and say hi and all of that stuff. And then, ask me about you. But my go-to question with everybody always was, okay, well, what number Foo Fighters show is this for you? And I couldn't believe how many people had never seen them before.
Really?
I would say, let's say I talked to 20 people, and I would say over half, 11 or 12 of those 20, they were there for their first Foo Fighters show. One girl had lyrics tattooed on her. Jeez. And she's like, look, this is Foo Fighters, my favorite Foo Fighters song. It's tattooed. And I said, this is your first show? She said, yeah. I go, do you know how special this is? 5,000 seater. And everybody was kind of understanding that it was a really, really big deal. And I told you they're playing ACL in Austin. So they somehow finagled the deal where they were able to do this one-off show. And is it Rami or Rami Jaffe, the keyboard player's name?
Rami? I don't know. Thanks. It doesn't matter. The goofy keyboard player.
Yeah, I got to meet him. That was it. I got to meet him.
That's cool.
Strolling by, and I got some passes from the band's management to go to Rami's lounge. And he came in, he popped his head in there. And I'm like, hey, dude, let's get a pic. He was cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
How did they sound? How was it? What was the vibe like?
They sounded great. Dave is the best because he interacts with everybody. It was the second song, and he already started fucking around. He's like, hey, Motorhead guy over there. And he's playing Motorhead, and he's playing Metallica. And, like he's screwing around. He's doing Van Halen riffs, and he's just talking to everybody. And they went on at 8:04, and they were done at like not quite 10:40. So it was a 2.5 hour, just a little over 2.5 hours, 25 songs. They ended with Everlong. They played some new stuff, and it was great. I mean, he's the best, right? I mean, right. He's our Bruce Springsteen, and he's just still funny. He doesn't take care of his voice. He screams because, I'm coming off of that Axl Rose performance that I saw 2 weeks ago. And Axl is, he's older, but he's picking and choosing, where he can, use that old school Axl voice. He's not doing it all the time. He just can't. Dave Grohl is not like holding back at all. Like the extra screaming and everything. And it's just crazy how he screams still.
Yeah. When you hear him, I'm like, there's no way he's going to be doing all these shows now. You can't sing like that. Eventually, that shit wears out on you, man. And he doesn't seem like the guy who's using his vocal cords properly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's ways you can properly get the grind and the scream so you're not destroying your voice, right? I don't think he's that guy. I don't think he's taking vocal lessons, but maybe he is. I hope for his sake he is. But, man, I don't know how he does it.
I mean, I know he smokes. He's been a cigarette smoker his whole life. He drinks. Those are the two worst things for your voice. He sounded amazing. Like I've never seen an off Foo Fighters show, and I know I love them and they're my favorite and all of that. But I really have, I could recognize if they had like an off night or something, or if they were just trying to take it easy or whatever. Enough. They don't hold back, dude.
Nope.
He's got so much energy. And fucking Josh Freese. Oof. God damn, is he good, dude? He's so good. Yeah. So great. He's just killer, man.
He's so fast back there. Like, it's just a different style. That's not taking anything away from Taylor, but my God, when you watch him, Josh is just sick. Something about him is different. I don't know what it is.
I will stop short of saying that he's a better drummer, but man, they didn't go down an ounce. They didn't drop. There was zero drop. And I don't know. I can't say that they're better. You can't say that they're better without Taylor, but they're not any worse though. God, he's good drummer. He is so great.
It's cool.
And they do, they give him a little shine because they talk about all the bands that he was in. So they do Devo Whip It, and they do a March of the Pigs, 9 Inch Nails, and they do that stuff. And that's for him.
That's cool.
And Dave's interacting with him, and he's up there on the platform, and he's rocking out with them, and kind of what he did with Taylor, and it was great.
I mean, great show. You think about it, like it's a new co-worker. I mean, we think of it as, oh my God, what are you gonna do? This band and this guy, and he passed away, and we got a new guy. Dude, football teams, it's not death, but you get traded. Your buddy gets traded. You're like, fuck, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna keep playing. Those guys are all musicians. They want to keep playing. This guy's good. You got to kind of it took them some time, but they've continued. Well, thank God they have. I can't wait to see
them. They just absolutely picked the right guy. They picked the right guy. Prediction on Jazz Fest this year?
I'm thinking probably. I'm thinking probably because they just announced the summer stadium tour, bunch of dates up north and big rooms over the summer.
Yeah, baseball stadiums.
Yeah, wide open in the Jazz Fest time. They were supposed to play it a couple times. I'm if I was a gambling man and I'm not, I would say, yeah, put your money down.
Okay.
I have no insight, as big program director like I am, I have no insight. They won't tell you shit. That is the tightest band management in the world.
They are.
Won't ever let, and they've been doing it that way for 25 some odd years. They will not let anything leak out ever. It's unbelievable. Even the record labels. So you got your management, you got your band, your management takes it to the record label. The record labels are like 2 days before the new song was supposed to be released. I'm like, hey, I'm hearing some things that maybe there's gonna be some new Foo Fighters music. And they're like, we don't even know. We've not heard it yet. And this is the record label. Like we won't get it until someone makes a phone call and they say, be here in an hour. And we got to all drop everything we're doing and haul ass to management, have a meeting, and then they unload the whole plan. And then we get to hear the song and then we do our job. I'm like, fuck, that's awesome. Yeah. The Foo Fighters are notoriously the tightest band in the world when it comes to management.
They're that big. They can, not every band can do that. They can, Metallica can do stuff like that. They can. Oh, by the way, there's Metallica music where you don't hear of anything, and then boom, there's a new album or a new song out. They're big enough; they can do that. They don't need to. They're their own machine. They don't need the music industry machine anymore.
No,
they're
not
their
at
own
this
machines.
No, they got it. It's so cool to hear, and hopefully they keep going. And the Jazz Fest thing would be huge. It would be absolutely huge.
Yeah, it would be great. The other thing that I just wanted to mention really quick, and I don't know. I mean, where are you on Saturday Night Live? Are you a guy that's like, oh, it's not funny anymore? Or, oh, dude, I haven't watched it since Wayne's World. I mean, it's people like to shit on it. And people like to shit on it that I feel that haven't watched it in a long time. I'm still a fan. I record it. I think there's good, there's bad, but it's good. I still like it. Where are you?
I love it. I still love it. Like, I love it. And people who say, oh, it's not funny anymore, they just haven't watched, and not every bit's going to be a home run, but you're going to laugh. There's going to be some funny shit. Yeah. There's going to be some bombers. There's going to be some clunkers, but they know that. See, that's what people don't understand. Saturday Night Live, they know it's going to suck at times. They know that they're going to have a bit that just doesn't hit right. And they're not okay with it, but they go, well, shit happens. But see, where people get wrong, where people go, oh, it hasn't been funny since fucking Bill Murray was on, which is absolutely ridiculous to say. But you think about it was funny. When people say it hasn't been funny since, ask them how old they were when they were watching it. Because think about when you were watching Saturday Night Live. You were in high school. You couldn't go out on a Saturday night. You were fucking stuck at home. So this was the craziest thing you could possibly do, is watch this crazy late night television sketch comedy show with a band play. It was like the greatest thing. So for a couple of years,
it was kind of edgy when you were young.
Yeah. For a couple of years, it was all you had. That was your cool Saturday night. Once you started to go out drinking and partying and looking for whores, Saturday Night Live was dead to you.
Yeah.
It was over. And then maybe 10 years you went back to it and you're like, I don't get it now. And I'm busy and I go to bed early now. I'm so into it now because I'm like seeing it from a different angle from all the shit I've done in life with radio and whatever. I see it and I'm picking it apart. I'm like, oh, that bit worked. Oh, that line didn't work. Oh, this is what happened. And like, I'm looking at it from like how the production goes and all that bullshit.
Yeah. So the anniversary is today, 48 years ago, 1975, SNL debuts. George Carlin was the first host. There were two musical guests. Billy Preston, who did he was like the piano player in the Beatles. He sang Nothing from Nothing. And then Janice Ian was on the show. I don't remember her. At 17 was the song. But they had two different, but it's weird, like the format and everything, it's the same.
It's clockwork.
Back then, and the guest host and the musical guest and, live from New York, it's Saturday night. I mean, all of that, that stuff started, right there in the very first season.
I would usually
the same way.
I would usually watch the whole thing from the beginning, and then I'd watch the first song from the musical act, because then Weekend Update was usually right after. And then I would stay maybe for the next bit, but maybe not, because I knew Weekend Update was usually be pretty funny. And then that was it. And I would tap out usually because I'm like passing out or whatever, But now
it did get a little boring of them shitting on Trump so much. I mean,
yeah,
listen,
got a little old.
But Alec Baldwin was great. You know what I mean? Like, he was great. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Funny is funny, you know?
Right.
Did they run that to the ground? Probably. I mean, the cold open for 2 years, almost the whole 4-year presidency of Trump, almost the whole 4 years, that cold open was going to be Trump, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, when they do, I follow politics more than I let on to anyone. I do have it on in the background, and I do watch this stuff. I don't enjoy talking about it with anybody.
God, no.
But I do enjoy them making fun of people. And, you know, they clearly give Biden a huge pass. They only poke fun at him very little. They don't, you know, but they really went after Clinton back in the day and Hillary and stuff. It was funny. It was fucking funny. I didn't get it when I was young because you were young. You didn't understand the politics and what they were really, you weren't in on the jokes because you didn't know what was going on. Right. And now you're kind of in on the jokes. And yeah, they're clearly slanted one way. I don't care. It's funny. Funny is funny to me, you know, just like making fun of religion, you know, that's not that you can make fun of anything. You can, everything is on the table to make a joke about it, you know?
I would say yes. And now you're not allowed to, though, because you get canceled, Rod. You get canceled. Yeah, and then that sucks. And, you know, it's like you should be able to make jokes as long as you're not, you know, really being a horse's ass about it. That's okay. I wanted to bring up, we haven't done this in a while. You started this, God, Lord, like 40 episodes ago, it seems like. And we compared like albums from decades. It was like Appetite versus like Nevermind versus like Van Halen 1. And you did
we did debut CDs before. We did that one because I think we did Van Halen versus Nirvana versus Guns N' Roses.
And we had a list.
Three amazing, and we went song by song, right? Like, okay, who's got the best song number 1? Who's got the best song number 2 on the album?
Yeah. That's what it was.
That was fun.
So this is nothing like that. But it's similar.
Okay, great setup so far. Glad I took the time to explain that to him.
I walked right into that one, dude. Well, this is similar, okay? But I was trying to think of something. 100th episode, I was like, ooh, a milestone. What can we do? So then I thought, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll go back 100 years and look at the top songs from 100 years ago. Yeah, 1923 wasn't exactly banging for music, dude. So,
hey, let's go get those dames over there.
Al Jolson's blackface singing song. I'm like, yeah, we probably shouldn't touch that one. So I decided not to do that. I kind of dug around for some shit, and there's really nothing you can do with 100. So I
didn't even think about just how we could have incorporated 100 into a top 5 list. Damn it. I was so happy with my rain thing because I enjoyed the food one so much.
Yeah.
The food one made us talk about way different songs than we normally talk about on this podcast.
The rain one's going to do the same, man. So I was like, well, let me throw something together just to see, get our brain work a little bit and get us talking about some shit and, you know, maybe argue about a couple things.
What do you got?
So I was, and this is in no particular order. There's no list here. I just kind of went down and did a quick Google search. So what I've done is I put it in a column under 1990s singers. And it's basically your top 5. Basically, you can argue the top 5. That's not what we're here to do. Top 5 from 1990, that decade. Top 5 singers from the 80s. Again, arguably top 5 singers from the 80s. And top 5 singers from the 70s. So what we're going to do is we're going to go across 90s versus 80s versus 70s.
Are the rankings that you're using, are you pulling them from the same source? Is it?
No. I just sort of scrambled them up, threw them up
Gotcha.
There. Yeah, there's like, okay, let's just start with number 5. Okay. And then everyone will get the little exercise here. You can rank them. You can say, this is my favorite out of all 3. I don't care how you want to do it. Maybe ranking them. Put them in order. Yeah, okay. Let's do that. Let's rank them.
I like it.
I'm going to go 90s versus 80s versus 70s. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots.
Weiland.
Versus
90s guy.
Springsteen. We'll put him in 80s in this one because that's when he really kind of took off.
Okay.
Weiland, Springsteen, and I put Elton John in the 70s because that's when he took off, right?
Yes.
Weiland, Springsteen, Elton John. Put those in order. And this is not going to be easy.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
It will get harder.
I think Elton John is the best pure voice out of the three. Mm-hmm. Are we talking about, like front man and all of that? Singers? Are we
singing
we're talking about singers, right? As their instrument. I mean, Weiland, I never thought Weiland had a classically great voice. As a front man, he was awesome. Totally. But I know you've seen some special Springsteen shows. I've seen him twice. Him belting out those songs, it's pretty special. I hope he's getting well. I know he's kind of under the weather right now. I would have to go Elton, Springsteen, Weiland.
Nice. I kind of went the same way, although I moved Weiland second just because of the older he got and the more he did albums. If you listen to the Stone Temple Pilots albums as they progressed, his voice, he would change it and he would sing differently and stuff. So, and I like him. So, all right, not bad. I would go with that. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit harder. Ooh. Okay, number 4, 1990s, Lane Staley from Alice in Chains versus, and this guy was...
I love his voice.
I know. In the 80s, you got to remember, this dude was massive because of his involvement in Van Halen. Sammy Hagar, who's getting a lot of episode time today for some weird reason.
Yeah, he is.
And the 1970s, because that's where they got their start, Steven Tyler.
Oh.
Lane Staley, Sammy Hagar, Steven Tyler. And I'm thinking dropping the needle on an album. Okay. Yes. And thinking them that way. Not jumping around like a horse's ass. Scarves and shit.
That's
a tough one.
God, I think
because they can all belt.
It is an absolute okay. Lane's not in the discussion for one. I'm sorry, it's just not.
Right.
Sammy Hagar and Steven Tyler, both of them are genetic freaks.
Right.
Both of them genetic freaks. The fact that they can still sing. I know Tyler is having a problem right now too. And we hope he's doing better, but they had to cancel residencies and their goodbye shows and all of that. Hagar, Tyler, Lane Staley. Damn.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, what do you got on that?
I would put, it's tough because Tyler, man, he could just his voice is so cool and he's so unique sounding. The second he opens his mouth, you're like, that's Steven freaking Tyler, and he's got different ranges and he sounds different on certain songs and stuff. But man, you go 80s Hagar and that Van Halen shit. I mean, he is singing his balls off.
Yeah. And I mean, he's up there. It's not so much that he sang so high, which some of that stuff is high.
Yeah.
But the power that he possessed and it just, I mean, he was just melting the microphone. I mean, Tyler too, though. Yeah. It's a flip of a coin between those two. That's really difficult. I like Sammy a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know that he's a better singer though than Tyler. Jeez.
Yeah, it's tough. You'd have to put the whole thing together. I don't know. Anyway, 1990s versus 80s versus 70s. This one's kind of an odd one here, but I thought, what the hell? Let's try it. Number 3, Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam versus Ozzy, because obviously he was in Sabbath and all that shit in the 70s, but the 80s he was solo, and that's when he really kind of blew up. Yeah. Ozzy from the 80s, and then 70s, Freddie Mercury.
Okay. I mean, Freddie Mercury, no matter when he was going to be on this list, I don't know why is he not number 1 in the 70s?
I know. I just threw it in there. Well, you'll see.
So Freddie's 1.
Right.
There's just world class. I mean, maybe one of the greatest singers of all time. I've never been a huge fan of Eddie Vedder's voice.
Really?
No, not really. Not really. I mean, again, I like one album. I like one Pearl Jam album and then 8 other songs. That's it.
Right.
The first album and then 8 songs I absolutely love. And then it's kind of it for me. I'm going to have to go Freddie, Ozzy, Eddie Vedder. I mean, Ozzy just had a weird voice, huh? I mean, it's just awesome.
I just love awesome. always loved Ozzy's voice. It's just, again, his stands out a mile away. You know it's him. The only thing I will say about Eddie Vedder is just his lyrics are spectacular and his passion when he sings. You know, I mean, it's not a vocal thing, but his passion and all that stuff is just different than most. He's on another level when it comes to that.
Yeah, he's almost singing like a man possessed.
Yes. Yeah. And that's unbelievable the way he does it.
Go back to the Jeremy video, and you know what I mean? You see his eyes. I mean, he did that for a while. And I don't think that he's faking that. You know, I really do kind of feel like he goes somewhere when he's singing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. This one's completely bizarre, but
jeez,
I gotta jumble it up a little bit here. Kurt Cobain from the 90s.
Okay.
Your friend there, and don't let this influence your decision, okay? That your guys are tight. Bono from U2.
I knew that was coming.
And David Bowie from the 70s. All right. Kurt Cobain versus Bono versus Bowie. Very different sounding voices. And you got to rank them.
Bono won for me.
Wow. Okay.
Bono won for me because when
he's your best friend.
Because we're pals. Because we're best friends. Bono, when Bono could sing, they're all great singers. These are three great singers.
Right.
But when I talk about that Bono voice, you go to that Do They Know It's Christmas song, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, tonight, thank God it's them instead of you. And he hits that, he gets all Bono-y on that. When he got all Bono-y on those certain songs, man, I'll tell you what. Bono won. Jesus. Bowie. You know what? I'm going to go Bono, Kurt, Bowie.
Oof. Wow.
On my singers. Yep.
Wow.
I really feel that Kurt, when he flexed himself and he did all of that, here's what saves him. It's the Unplugged in New York album.
Yes.
Fucking one take.
Yep.
One take.
We're not doing two.
What he did with his voice and everything. I'm gonna go Bono, Kurt, Bowie.
And you know what's really funny is
I'll take some shit for that.
Kurt does The Man Who Sold the World in the Unplugged. Yep. Which is really kind of cool there. So yeah, you know what? I'm not going to be mad about that one. I would go that way as well. Because Kurt's very unique. And like you said, on all the albums, he's just like screaming and yelling and all that stuff. And granted, talent, all that good stuff. But the Unplugged thing, man, when you're just watching that and you're just looking at that going,
it's raw.
It's raw, but it's good.
And he's in pain.
Emoting.
You know what I mean? Like he's got stomach issues and everything. And he's smoking and one take.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, okay, man. Well, when are you going to do, Smells Like Teen Spirit? We're not.
We're doing weird shit.
No, we're not doing that. I brought my friends the Meat Puppets. You ever heard of them? No.
Nope.
Well, you will. I brought my friends the Meat Puppets. They're going to play on a couple of songs. I'm going to do a Lead Belly cover song. Everybody's like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Bowie cover.
They thought, I'm telling you, I've said this before. There needs to be a documentary of everybody that was involved with that MTV Unplugged in New York. They didn't think it was going to happen. They didn't think Kurt was going to show all of that. That was the first time, like, they realized that Dave was playing too hard with the sticks. They had to go and get him those little rattan things. He had never used them before.
No.
One take.
Show.
He refused to do a song twice for a fucking recording.
Yep.
And they had already made albums. So it wasn't, there was a good chance that this was going to be turned into an album. There was already a few Unplugged albums that had come out. And one take. Yeah. And he just did it his own way. Everything about it. The only person that I've never met anybody that was there. I think I heard Opie and Anthony talking about it. And maybe Opie, these were two radio guys in New York. And Opie may have been there. I heard him talk about it once, and I feel like he was talking in terms of maybe being there. We have a guy that does sound for us when we used to do these in studio things. Like we had like our live lounge. Mm-hmm. We had a place to do all that. And I knew a guy that did the sound for us and he said he was involved with the set dressing somehow. Remember they had those lilies?
Yeah, they had the lilies around,
flowers and everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it looked different than anything,
it was
the
totally
white
different.
sheets and everything. And I think that he said that he was somehow involved with it, but I've never met anybody, even like in the record industry. And that'd be a good thing for you. Like now that you schmooze with all these guys.
I talked to him.
Who was at that show? Who went? Yeah. Who's there live?
Yeah, and I'd heard
biggest live albums of all time.
Yeah, and I've heard that people are like the MTV execs were losing their shit. They're like, he's not gonna what? He's gonna, oh my God, this is gonna suck. We've pumped all this money into this. We've got promotions, we've got all this shit. This is gonna be fucking awful. And then it came out great.
Like an intern ran down to the Guitar Center and got Dave those wicker sticks that he uses.
Yeah.
And they got him on the fly, the rocket sticks, I think is what they're called.
Yeah.
There's a story about every song. Who's that weird looking guy? Now we know it's Pat Smear. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we just didn't know all these things.
No.
I'm telling you, a documentary on that one album, I think it would be huge. It would be huge. I hope they do it someday. The people that were behind it and everything, because every time I hear a story about it, I am glued to it.
Well, because it's fascinating, because it came out so great. One time they were, nobody was happy. Everybody was pissed off. And it just worked. I mean, talk about having a vision and then pulling it off. Obviously, Kurt knew what he was doing. He wasn't going to back down. So, all right, let's go to number ones. And this one, all I'm going to do is say good luck to you. All right.
Oh, geez.
Good luck to you.
Let me see. Who don't we have yet?
1990s.
Oh, you're going to go Chris Cornell.
Chris Cornell.
Okay, hang on.
80s.
Let me see if I can guess your 80s guy.
80s.
Everything Sammy, Ozzy, Bono.
Oh, it's so great.
Are you going to put Coverdale in there?
No, Steve Perry from Journey.
Okay.
Who's probably one of the best of all time as well, if you start going that way. And in the 70s, well, you got to go with the Golden God, Robert Plant.
Oh, geez.
Cornell versus Steve Perry versus Robert Plant. I try to make it tough on that one.
Yeah, that one's brutal.
Yeah. I know how I would go. I don't want to hear you go.
The Cornell thing is easy for me. It's just he's my favorite singer.
Yeah,
and I just think he was just one of the purest. I mean, he's in the Freddie Mercury discussion. I mean, he's in that discussion. If you want to like put heads on a Mount Rushmore of rock singers, he's on there. So. I guess Plant, because of the solo career and everything else. I mean, thinking about his voice and what he could do to it. Neither one of them aged well as far as their vocals. Plant did age well, I think. He just couldn't replicate the stuff that he did. He did it differently, right?
Yeah,
the Alison Krauss stuff and stuff. I mean, it just, like we talk about Axl, what he did in Zeppelin was not sustainable as an older guy.
No, you're not going to belt out Immigrant Song at age 75, man.
Right. And then Perry with Journey, Chris Cornell, Robert Plant, Steve Perry.
I got to say that's probably the right call on that one as well, because I guess I just never really got into Journey, but I respect his voice because it was or is badass and all those songs. It's just not my fucking cup of tea. I'm like, Journey. Okay, great. You
know who does a Journey cover band? Joey Belladonna, the lead singer of Anthrax. What he does? I mean, Anthrax. He's got all the money that I think those guys are pretty comfortable. I really do.
Okay, yeah.
I think they're comfortable. I think he does it just because he loves it. If you think about the voice, like he had a weird voice for being in the thrash band, in the big, the big four thrash bands. He had a weird voice for that, because he was a really, really good singer. And if you think about that Anthrax stuff and how high he could go, yeah, he does Journey stuff. He's like, has a Journey cover band that he does really for fun.
Bizarre. That's
really bizarre.
Really strange. But that's what makes that fun, man. It's like, I got my band where I go out and I do my thing, and then I go goof off doing Journey songs. It's like, the Foo Fighters used to do Taylor Hawkins and a couple other guys. They had that band Chevy Metal cover band, and they would just bang out a bunch of tunes out around LA and play off dates once in a while. That shit is cool. It's weird how they do it backwards.
Vivian Campbell. He's he's in Def Leppard.
Right.
Well, he did some stuff. He's in a Dio cover band. He's in a Dio cover band.
Who's singing?
Geez,
that is insane.
Singing? Who is singing? But think about like how big Def Leppard is and how they travel. Okay.
Yeah. Massive stadium.
I mean, those guys probably have each have their own bus type of deal. I mean, Def Leppard travels large, or if they even travel in a bus, they probably just fly in and out to shows. They're so big.
Right.
But Vivian Campbell, he does this Dio thing and he plays clubs. he's in like the dressing rooms that like local bands are using.
Ew, all gummed up. Gross.
Yeah. And I think he'll get so I think they'll get Vinny Appice. So he played Dio and he was in Sabbath for a little while, but so he's the drummer. I think Vivian Campbell and but they do this Dio thing.
That's wild. Like that's
wild. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you want to play. That's all these guys want to do. They just want to play.
Yeah. And I saw Chevy Metal. I saw them live. They were great.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they were awesome. They played a festival here a long time ago.
Oh, dude.
They were like on the side stage. Again, he's in, Foo Fighters weren't as big as they are now, but they were one of the biggest bands in the genre. And he was playing the little piddly side stage because he wanted to jam.
I mean, you'd think you'd get enough playing after all those shows, but you know what? No, we're going to go play on another band and just keep going. I mean, that just shows you the passion behind playing the music,
Well, listen, that was very, very fun, Jason. Thank you very much for putting that together for our 100th episode.
Yeah, it was very exciting.
Okay, so we've been getting some rain over here. Dude, we didn't have rain. We went like 2.5 months without rain.
Same.
And then in that 2.5 months that we didn't have rain, about half of those days, we had almost one whole month of 100-degree temperatures.
Yeah.
So no rain, dry, drought, the whole thing, and 100 degrees. I mean, water bans, the whole deal here. I'm totally illegally watering my plants. You can tell who's watering and who isn't.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, right?
But I mean, people's lawns, the people that are like really like listening to what the city's saying, I mean, your lawns were turning yellow. I mean, there's no rain, and we've had some rain, so that got me thinking of rain songs. And I know you're always a little leery until you start like sniffing around. There's a lot, right? I mean, there's plenty to choose from. There's plenty of good ones. And it gets us to talk about some different bands and some other music.
Boy, does it, because there's a hell of a list coming your way, dude. I'm not even going to guess. Normally I'll say, I think we're going to have two of the same. You know what? I will say we're going to have two of the same.
You going Milli Vanilli on me?
Blame it on the rain, brother. Blame it on the rain. Well, they didn't sing it, so, whatever. But
speaking of documentaries, there's one coming out. I know they had one of the best 30 for 30s when VH1 was doing that back in the ESPN. That was must-watch TV on Sunday nights. That was
Behind the Music. Yeah, those were great.
Behind the Music. Thank you.
Yeah. Same thing.
30 for 30 was ESPN, or is ESPN. There's a doc coming out on them soon.
It didn't end well.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
It didn't end well at all. All right. Well, hold on. You want to do a spot, or do you want me to do one?
I'll do your spot because it's so exciting. Let me just ask you, how's it going, dude? You have an address in the French Quarter now. There's a store. The Pirates of the Quarter actually have a home base now.
We do. We do.
What are you doing? Is it open right now?
It is. Well, not right now, but like it's open. Really, it's open Thursday through Sunday at this point, because that's really when the Quarters hopping the most. So, I don't exactly have a huge staff. I'm not ripping out a
your
massive
wife,
payroll.
Your kid,
my brother.
Yeah.
It's kind of
brother-in-law.
Yeah,
brother.
It's not a lot. So
in-laws. Mother-in-law's working there.
It's kind of a lot of me, being there. And it's cool, man. People are coming in and, you're just learning. You're just learning, you don't know how the systems work. You don't know how to fucking do a charge card. You don't know, I can't make.
And you can buy T-shirts there. I mean, obviously you could book the tour there and do all of that stuff, but you can buy T-shirts. Let me do the commercial and I'll ask you about it.
Yeah.
Pirates of the Quarter. There's a store now in the French Quarter, the world famous French Quarter now. Pirates of the Quarter. Not only can you take their 5-star rated tour, but you can visit their store, 607 Dumaine Street, right next to some of my favorite artists, New Orleans local artists. The Dirty Boys are right there next door. And I love these guys. And I've not only purchased artwork from them, I've had stuff commissioned by them. I love these guys. I saw they did your sign. That's
it's
so cool.
not their commercial.
I'm just saying that's where you're right next door to them. They did your sign. I was tying it in. Shirts, beads, bandanas, all the pirate gear, and more coming. Take the tour, hear the incredible pirate history of New Orleans, and then get that souvenir. So piratesofthequarter.com, 607 Dumaine Street in the French Quarters.
Yeah. So it's weird, dude. It's very strange because people come in, they're like, oh, I really like that shirt. Oh, I'm gonna buy that shirt. I'm like, so you're just like, it's a weird thing. Well, you design shirts and you sell them, and so you kind of get the idea. Like, that never gets old. When you make something or design something and people are appreciative of it and they're gonna spend money on it,
yeah,
that's a weird feeling.
It's cool.
That's a weird ass feeling.
Yeah, there's always a little bit of anticipation the night before, like when I'm going to open up the store.
Right.
Like the Boobs Rock store. I mean, I've been doing this for how many years now? It's, I'm a dumb guy on the radio. I don't have any graphic arts or any of this stuff. I have a lot of people that, help me. But there's always that, okay, the store's open. Go look at what we got. And, you hope that people like what you've done, that you hope that people like your designs and things, because that's what's going to help you raise the money. And they're not going to buy it if they don't like it,
Yeah.
As much as they want to help out, they still want a T-shirt and something cool to wear, that they like.
Yeah, like people coming in like, oh my God, that one's cool. I'm gonna get this one. And I'm like, whoa, it's just a weird feeling, and it's cool. I mean, I'm glad people are enjoying it, and it's like I spent a lot of time sitting there, so I've learned a lot in a couple of weekends about like a lot of things about opening a store and all that shit. So it gets better every day. But yeah, no. 607 Dumaine Street, French Quarter. Next time you're out in the city, just stop by, say what's up, and take the tour. It's a blast. We have an issue here in New Orleans, Rod, before we get to our top 5 favorite songs about rain.
Please,
we have the mighty Mississippi River that goes right by New Orleans, right? You're
familiar with it. Very familiar.
Right. Here's the problem. Not only did you not get rain this summer, we didn't get rain this summer, nor did most of the center of the United States of America. Okay? Picture the map in your brain. The Mississippi River starts in Minnesota, goes right down the middle of the country. Mm-hmm. A lot of other rivers pour into the Mississippi River. If nobody gets any rain, the rivers don't flow. So the Mississippi River is very low right now. And what that does, and I didn't know this shit, man. This is all sciencey shit. And I'm not a science guy, but I can at least explain it to the best of my knowledge, is that all that water coming down the Mississippi River, flowing by New Orleans and heading out into the Gulf of Mexico, there's a lot. There's like millions of gallons every couple minutes going by. It's a shit ton of water all the time, every day, fucking for centuries. Okay. Well, the river is so low right now that the salt water from the ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, is actually pushing back up the mouth of the Mississippi River, and it just keeps creeping farther and farther and farther up the river. So if you're familiar with Louisiana, there's like Plaquemines Parish, which is way down there at the tip of the boot, and then the river just keeps snaking around. And well, while you might be thinking, well, who gives a shit, Jason, about salt water getting into the Mississippi River? Because that's what we're drinking. And that's what's going into your dishwasher, and it's going into your showers, and it's going into the pipes of the entire city system. And I'm not talking just New Orleans, it's all the cities up and down the river who are pulling from the Mississippi River. That salt water will ruin your washer and dryer. It'll ruin your dishwasher. So the saltwater incursion, now it's still like further south of New Orleans, and they're saying maybe it'll get to New Orleans by like late November if we don't get any rain up north, which means you're talking hundreds of thousands of people. And it's affecting communities further south, but apparently they've got it figured out some sort of way. So they're bringing in all like the Corps of Engineers who like build levees and do all this shit, right? They're getting massive barges, and they're going to be putting together these pipes from further up the river to suck the water out way up north, not way up north, but like a few miles up north, and pipe it down to New Orleans so it goes into our water system so we don't draw the salt water out. And they're putting up like like barriers and shit in the river. And it's like this crazy engineering mayhem. So long story short, we need some damn rain up north. They say if it rains here, it doesn't matter. You need the rain up north to really push it all out.
Yeah.
So it's like, salt water. If it gets in our shit and you can't filter it out, it's like your refrigerator. That filter doesn't do that.
Right.
Doesn't get the salt out. So it's get your reverse osmosis. Yeah, we got about 1 million people in the area, so you're not going to reverse osmosis this shit.
Wow.
So we had a bit of a panic buy a couple of weeks ago. Everybody was going and running around buying water jugs and shit. It's like, what is happening? So yes, you wouldn't think the Mississippi River would get that low, but apparently it has. So hopefully this little rain song situation will help bring some rain up north so that we don't have this saltwater thing happen here in New Orleans.
I have my place in the quarter. Now I know why he was sending me water filtration things. I didn't know what he was talking about with the salt. He said, yeah, before the salt, we might want to start thinking about putting in some sort of a thing to, hit the main lines that are going into the condos. Wow.
They're going to have it kind of figured out by the time it gets here. And hopefully by that time, the rain will start and it won't ever happen to New Orleans. And hopefully the other communities, it's not affecting any of their stuff too much down south.
Well, let's talk a little rain then. Maybe this will help. Top 5 favorite songs about rain, songs with rain in the title. Doesn't have to be in the title. If they're singing about rain, I'll get you a pass on that. But boy, there's a lot. There's a lot out there.
Man, there's a ton. And I kind of went wild on this one.
Okay. I can't wait to hear your top 5.
Just wild on this one.
Wild.
Yeah, like there's a lot that we'll talk about afterwards about that didn't make the list that I thought was kind of cool. And
I mean, BJ Thomas wild?
Close.
Okay.
Very close. Very close.
Because that's wild. If you got BJ Thomas in there, that's wild.
No, I couldn't do that one. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. All right. So I'll go first. Yeah. And this song I had forgotten about. And then I was doing my homework for this podcast tonight. And I was reintroduced to this great song. Number 5 of my top 5 favorite rain songs. Mm-hmm. The Foo Fighters from their album Concrete and Gold. There's a song called Sunday Rain. Here's why it's really cool. Taylor Hawkins is singing. Paul McCartney is playing the drums on that song.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it's a cool song. It's like a 6-minute song. Taylor sounds amazing. Sunday Rain from their Concrete and Gold album. Check it out, dude. You're going to like it.
It's good. I got to go listen to that.
Taylor is hammering it. It's well done. And Paul McCartney, I don't know, he plays the drums like he's using toothpicks. It doesn't really sound like Foo Fighters drumming, but
he's pretty damn old.
Yeah, I mean, what's he gonna do? So that was my number 5, kind of a wild card, but I revisited that song tonight. I'm like, oh, that's cool. What a great song.
Very wild.
Number 4, and this song goes back to me being a kid in the car. And my dad turned on the old AM radio and cranking it up and hauling ass on actually a rainy night. It's actually from Eddie Rabbit.
There you go.
1980. I love a rainy night. Dude, you cannot be mad after that song is playing. You just can't. It's so
He didn't like him. He didn't like him.
No, didn't like him at all.
He did not like a rainy night. Loved it. Okay? The man loved it.
He just couldn't wait for that damn rain. So Eddie Rabbit, I love a rainy night. Go look it up if you know who I'm talking about. That song is spectacular. Some pop genius right there.
That's 70s, huh?
1980 it came out. Yeah.
Oh, it did?
1980. Yeah. Okay. Which is crazy. I thought it was 70s too, but I guess 1980 is pretty close. Number 3. Finally getting a song that somebody may know.
Yeah, please.
Fool in the Rain from Led Zeppelin, 1979, and Through the Outdoor. That fucking song is all over the place. It's all over the place.
Oh, let's get that little fiesta.
Yeah, the samba beat.
But that John Bonham groove
it's so
might be, I mean, there's so many great John Bonham grooves, and he was a once in a generation drummer, but the groove on that song, dun, 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 I mean, he just had such an unbelievable feel. It's by far one of his best grooves.
Totally. And then when it comes out of the samba beat, and it goes doo, 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 and it comes back into the regular song. It's like, fuck, that's so good. Now, so the samba thing, actually, Jimmy Page is in Brazil watching World Cup soccer, and he kept hearing the music in the background, and it was the World Cup in '78 or whatever it was in Brazil. So that's where he got the idea from it. They never played it live. They never played that song live because they couldn't pull it off. They couldn't pull it off. They need the piano. Well, if John Paul Jones was playing piano, he ain't playing bass. Got to have the bass. They couldn't pull off the samba situation. They didn't have enough dudes. And so they couldn't really, they never thought they could get it to work properly live. So they never played it live. So yeah, Fool in the Rain. What an incredible song. Here's why I love the top 5 list is because we learn stuff on the top 5s. You're going to love this one. Okay. Number 2, Elvis Presley, Kentucky Rain from 1970. Great song.
Why can I not sing that right off the top of my head?
The old Kentucky Rain. I don't sing. So yeah, it's the cold Kentucky Rain. And it's like a love song. Now, go look it up on the YouTubes later. Kentucky Rain. Written by Eddie Rabbitt.
Come on.
I Love a Rainy Night fame.
He didn't like it. He didn't just like rainy nights. He loved them.
But see, he didn't like the cold. This is where it gets weird. He loved a rainy night in 1980, but in 1970, he did not like the cold Kentucky rain.
Okay. I don't know that song.
You will. The second you hear, you'll be like, oh shit, that's Elvis. That's Kentucky Rain. It's great. It's great.
Okay.
And then number 1, I had to go November Rain, Guns N' Roses, just because it's so epic and I've heard it 1,000 times. I think you mentioned this last time, but the original version was 25 minutes long.
Yeah. They were just fucking with the record label. They had yourselves. So much success with Appetite, and then they were working on a double album. Nothing was radio friendly for time. Nothing. They didn't care. You know what I mean? They had already gone off the rails. They're like, we're going to do whatever we want. You know, they were feeling Beatlesque.
Yeah, and good for them. If you can do it and pull it off, they did pull it off in a lot of ways because and I was just reading something about Matt Sorum. He came in and worked on that album, on the Illusion albums, and he was more of a classically trained orchestral drummer, so he knew all this shit. Whereas Guns N' Roses just play loud. Who gives a shit, right? Mm-hmm. He kind of worked with those guys. Go, well, what we need here is this, and this would be this, and they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude?" Because he's using technical terms, and they're all just like, "What?"
He drummed it. He drummed in the Cult before,
correct? And so what he was saying was that really, I may have the songs wrong, but we can look it up later. It was like Estranged, November Rain, and I believe Don't Cry. Those 3 were kind of like supposed to be like a suite of songs put together. Because if you listen to it, the drumming in all 3 is basically the same. And he did that on purpose because he wanted to put those 3 together. So it's like, very cool. So anyway, number 1, November Rain. So yeah, Eddie Rabbitt getting 2 mentions in 1 top 5 has not received a mention in 100 episodes, probably.
Yeah, this is a big episode for the Rabbit.
Yeah, the late Eddie Rabbitt.
Okay. So when I before I look anything up, I start writing down songs. The first thing I wrote down was Raining Blood by Slayer. Jesus. We've never talked about Slayer on this show.
Not really.
We did. We said because they're the one band that has retired, and they have stayed retired, and they're not creeping in. They're not saying, well, maybe we're going to get back together, because I don't believe any band, even Kiss is coming up at the end of the year. Kiss is going to wrap up in New York. And I don't believe them. I don't believe any band is retired, but Slayer is the only one. So that's the only time they really got to mention. So I wrote down BJ Thomas, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. Yeah. Peter Gabriel comes to mind. So I'm writing all this stuff down, and then I got to go just double check my work and make sure I'm not missing anything. 2 of the same.
Really?
In at number 5, I've never put Zeppelin on a top 5 anything ever. But again, that fucking drum beat is so amazing. It's when do you say the drum beat is the best part of the song? You know, like, you know, Foo Fighters, My Hero, everybody knows the drum beat. It's the best part of the song.
It's so great.
It's fucking amazing. It is just an absolute vibe all in its own. I could just listen to the drum track of that song. It's
Right.
so good.
Yeah, no, it's a great tune, man.
So yeah, Fool in the Rain, Zeppelin in at 5. In at number 4, November Rain, Guns N' Roses.
Nice.
Number 3, Purple Rain from Prince.
I just couldn't get there. I couldn't get there. I don't know why.
Oh,
I love that song too, man. It's so freaking great. So great. Long.
After he did it in the fucking rain, Super Bowl halftime show. He's doing Purple Rain in the rain. I'm like, Mother, Father, Prince. That's a halftime show. And it made me love that song all over again. You know, I liked it when it came out, and I was a rocker, and, you know, I wasn't that accepting of Prince in the beginning. And then I just kind of realized, you know, the greatness of him. But man, Purple Rain, come on.
So great.
That's number 3. Number 2 is The Who. Love Rain O'er Me, right?
Yes.
Did they say that's got a weird song title? Because it's not Rain Over Me, it's O'er.
O'er, and it's not Rain, R-A-I-N either. It's spelled differently. Yeah,
but yeah, like great. I mean, his screaming on that song when he's going, Love, Rain on Me. And you want to talk about a singer that was up there, he could have been on your 70s list too.
Good point. Yes.
That song is it's just amazing. So that's my number 2. And my number 1 is, I just mentioned him earlier, The Cult and The Rain.
The Rain. Yeah. Nice.
Yes. From the Love album, which, you know, Love and Electric. God, that's an exercise I'd be down for. Track by track, Love and Electric. 2 totally different albums, same band, but they just completely reinvented themselves. They went out and got Rick Rubin and whatever, you know, and they changed their sound so much. But yeah, the Rain by The Cult. I love that album. I love everything on that album. I love that song.
I was just watching the video before we started of that, and it's so
with the girls, with the dancing girls,
and I'm like, this is fucking weird, man. It was cool, but it was really bizarre. And he's like sucking on the microphone. I'm like, what am I watching right now?
Yeah, he's kind of got the dancing girls, and they kind of almost look like him.
Yeah, it was very strange.
It's like him. Yeah, it's awesome. Fuck, The Cult was so cool. They are cool. They're still cool. I saw them a couple years ago. I couldn't believe, man. Ian sounded great. Billy looked great, sounded great.
Yep.
You know, those are the 2 guys. You know, everyone else interchangeable. You know, you're not like wondering who's drumming for them. Maybe super nerds are, but you need those 2 guys. You know, and you know the bass player and the drummer were always interchangeable. Don't get me wrong; it was awesome when Matt Sorum was in the band, but God, The Cult.
Yeah. I had Love Rain O'er Me at number 6.
Yeah.
Purple Rain was dancing around the whole thing. I don't know. I probably should have got it in there. I just didn't. Whitesnake, to bring up Coverdale, because we brought it up earlier, didn't get to it. Crying
maybe he was going to be. I thought he was going to be in your 80s list.
Crying in the Rain.
Brutal. Crying in the Rain is awesome.
Great fucking song, dude.
And he really is singing his ass off on that one. I mean, he's singing his balls off on that.
Yep. You can go Riders on the Storm.
Riders on the Storm would have been a good one.
Cool song.
You're a big Doors guy.
Yeah, I couldn't do that one. I don't know. I just couldn't get there.
Have you ever seen The Rain, Creedence?
Yeah, that was Who'll Stop the Rain. You know, that one is good too. Queensryche, Another Rainy Night Without You from Empire.
I forgot about that song.
I actually like that one. I don't like a lot of Queensryche stuff. I can tolerate that one.
That's okay. Jet City Woman's good.
Yeah, Jet City Woman's
And then I'm out. All of that stuff. I'm out
pretty
of it.
Pretty much.
Rain by the Beatles. And then I wrote down James Taylor. Fire and Rain is a great James Taylor song. I really do like James Taylor.
Yeah, I can't get into him. I can't do
but
it. I don't know
No Rain, Blind Melon. I thought you were going to go for that.
Nah, I do. I mean, we've played that. I can't. Can't. I just can't do it. I never really liked the song, but man, it just doesn't go away. It just follows me around like a plague. Everywhere I go, we're playing the damn song.
Yeah.
Great song. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm done with it.
Is it being used in a Jeep commercial?
It seems like they did a mix, a remix of it, and it was cool.
It sounds like it's underwater.
Yeah. Something's different
it's
about
like
it.
a dream sequence or something, but I feel like some car company is using it.
Or a lot more Gen X coming in your car commercials the next couple of years. I promise you, because Gen X is the next generation to have that money, and they're going to be, you're going to hear a lot more of that shit. Because remember a while back, it was like the Cadillac. It was like they were using a Zeppelin tune. That was like 15 years ago, and now all of a sudden you're going to start hearing the Gen X shit. You're going to hear fucking, I don't know, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Probably not
Billy
that
Corgan.
one.
Billy Corgan is the one that told you that the second act is coming.
You know what I looked up, and I thought I liked the song, and I'm like, oh, I remember that being kind of like the second single or third single is Nelson, After the Rain. Then I looked it up, and I realized it's terrible.
Oh, it's awful. It's
the
awful.
Video really encapsulate all the cheese that was destroying music in the late 80s. Holy shit.
If you're younger, you're listening and you're wondering, okay, like what did you see on TV where you said, okay, this is going to kill us? I point to everything from Poison and Warrant, but when you look specifically at things like Nelson and maybe Trickster.
Yeah. I thought I remember liking that song, and then I listened to it. I went, oh God, no, I did not like that song at all. It's fucking awful. The only reason I bring this song up is because it's one of my favorite horrible scenes ever in a movie. Gene Kelly singing in the rain. If you ever watched A Clockwork Orange.
Jesus Christ. Sing it in the rain. The guy in the background is awful.
They're just doing horrible things to another human, and he's gleefully singing that song, which, by the way, improvised for the scene. Wasn't part of the deal. He just started singing it. When they were directing the scene, they kept saying, we need something more. I don't know, something's not right. And then he just started singing that song, and it totally worked because it was so bizarre.
Malcolm McDowell came up with that on his own?
Yeah, he came up with that shit. Singing in the rain.
There's something wrong with him. He's not right.
Beating the shit out of that chick. And just
not
awful.
Right. That's a guy that I really believe like he did those things in his movie. Like all the movies, Caligula he's in. I mean, he's just a not right guy. There's just something, he's always been a weirdo.
Yeah, he's liking that shit. Any other Rain songs, Rodney?
No, that was everything that I had. I thought I was going to get Slayer into a list, and that was it.
Not easy, dude. It's not easy. That's there was a lot though, but that was cool. And then the Eddie Rabbit thing kind of really blew me away. I was kind of shocked. I didn't realize he co-wrote Kentucky Rain.
I got to go listen to that, and I got to go listen to that Foo Fighters song, dude.
You got some homework tonight. You're staying up late, dude. You're staying up late. Well, the Rod Ryan Show presents the Boobs Rock Golf Tournament October 18th at Wildcat Golf Club. Foursomes totally sold out. And right now, though, still looking for whole sponsors, auction items, and of course, all the money goes to the Rod Ryan Show Cares Foundation Boobs Rock Fund to support breast cancer research at MD Anderson in Houston. All the information, everything you need to know is at the world famous Rod Ryan Show page at thebuzz.com. You did the car show. What was that, last weekend?
Yeah,
I saw some pics, dude. Look cool, man. Looks like, saw the pics. I saw a 69 Charger sitting there in the one pic. I'm like, nice, dude. Got some
you would
have
liked it. There was some nice. Was that the purple one?
It was dark. I couldn't tell.
Okay, yeah, it might have been the purple one. It was just gorgeous. Beautiful cars. I mean, just the people. I'm glad I'm not into that. You know, it's just so much money.
It's
so much money, and then it's money, and then I look at those cars, and all I see is a pile of money.
Yeah, they are cool.
I'm glad I'm not into it. They're cool. I like it on other people. I like it. I like other people to have that stuff. It's just. Yeah. It's money, right?
It's just constant money, and you don't have time
leaking oil. No matter how cool it is, it's leaking oil in your driveway.
Everything
shit.
Something breaks.
I don't know why you're into that shit. Jason is so into this old car thing. This is the first time he's never had. This is the first time that I've ever known you. Well, I know it's been a bunch of years now, but You've always had some 1970s huge big boat. You haven't had one for a while.
I got a 66 Dodge sitting in my driveway right now.
Well, what is it now?
66 Dodge Polar. It's red. It's doing everything you just explained. Sitting there leaking oil in my driveway. It's what it's doing.
How long have you had that now?
I actually bought that back in 2005 and drove it for a while.
Was it at your dad's place? Was it?
And then yeah, because my dad retired. I'm like, well, he needs to have something to do. And
I thought that was gone. I know the car. Of course, I know the car. And I thought that was dad's, and then that was it. So I didn't know that you regained possession.
Yeah, I brought it back here a couple of years ago. Did a shit ton of work on it. Spent a lot of money, like you were just pointing out.
There's a lot of money, and it's still fucking leaking oil. All the money, and it's still leaking oil in your driveway.
Yeah, and I haven't touched it all summer because it's been so fucking hot, and it's like I've been a little busy with a couple of things going on. So yes, I'm glad the car show went well, dude. I love those things. I love just walking around, looking at the cars, and just talking to the dudes with the cars and shit, and realizing they're all rich because you got to be to own these cars.
Yeah, this one of the guys had a newer Charger, but had the whole thing shelled in carbon fiber.
I've heard of that.
The whole car, like the shell of the car, all the metal on the car was carbon fiber.
So it's super light. Is that the idea?
I guess. So it's just super expensive. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just super expensive.
I don't
understand it either. And I know like what the carbon fiber looks like, because usually it's kind of clear and you can kind of like see like the webbing inside of it. Mm-hmm. This was painted on top of it. It's just like he had to tell me that it was carbon fiber. I'm like, whatever. That's awesome. It's just money. And I don't know if this is what I know that your stuff is all old and it kind of, you keep things period correct. I know you have in the past. I like the cars that are old. There was a 68, I believe, Corvette, but it had new engine and new suspension and new everything and a kick-ass stereo and all of this stuff. And there's two, it seems to be that there's two groups of people out there. There's the ones that want to keep it original, and you still got like the old interior and the old radio with the push buttons and everything. Mm-hmm. And people want to keep it that way. And I understand that. And I don't know if I don't know. What is your take on that? Is it okay to like the ones that are updated?
Yeah. There's something to be said about safety.
Okay.
This tank I drive, like you step on the brakes and it's not brakes. It's just hopeful thinking that you're going to stop. It's not stopping. It's just hoping. They're not brakes. They're hopes. They're dreams that you stop and don't hit anything. Yeah. I converted mine it had drum brakes on the front. So I had it converted to disc brakes. So that is a lot better. Okay. So I'm not total purist guy. I will do. And I upgraded from a 4-barrel carburetor to what do you call it? Fuel injection. It looks like a carburetor, but it works better. It's reliable. It starts. It's fucking great. I don't have to fuck with anything. It's really badass. So
I want the interior and stuff to look old, and you want that feel.
I love the simplicity of old shit. That's where I don't need all these fucking buttons. I sound like get off my lawn guy right now, but
a little bit.
I want to turn the key, and I want to go. And I want to stop. I want to turn the key off. I don't want all this other fucking shit. So when I get in a car like
that,
you
sound just like Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino.
I literally have become that guy. I swear to God, man. If I didn't have all these other activities in my life, I would be sitting on my porch drinking PBRs every day
with your pants pulled up to your tits.
Absolutely, and just fucking yelling at squirrels and dogs.
Those Dickies that my Uncle Stan wears. Dickies.
Hike them up.
He's worn those same pants. Whatever Clint wears, my uncle has worn those forever.
Yeah, they're comfortable because when you get older, you just don't give a shit anymore, man. And your pants get higher for some reason. I can't figure that out. I've seen it on pictures.
So yeah, this Corvette, it's all brand new, everything in it, and it's awesome. And then they didn't bring out. They had a couple Broncos last year. Mm-hmm. And it's, those 68, it's that sweet spot of the 67 to maybe 71, 72, those Broncos.
Right. Those are
cool old ones. And, there's places that redo those. And that's what I like. I mean, I like the body style and everything. They keep that the same, but then they got all the modern conveniences that you're talking about.
Right.
Like that's what I would be into, But is something really cool about seeing a car in all original. It's a time machine. It really
Absolutely.
is. You sit in there, and so I like looking at both. I like, if it was something that I was going to get involved with, I would want something that would be all like redone. But there is just something so cool about, something from the 70s, and it looks like it did when it came off the showroom floor. That's cool to me. That's really, really cool. But that just seems like so much work. Dude,
we lost your microphone. I can't hear you for some reason. That's it. Podcast must be over. Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, there you go. That's episode 100. That's the way it ends. Basically the way it started many, many years ago. Episode 100 in the books. Watch us on our YouTube channel and be sure to follow us on our socials. Somehow we lost Rodney's microphone mid-sentence, so we'll wrap it up here. Be sure to check out thebuzz.com for all the information on the golf tournament. And, of course, in New Orleans, check out the Pirates of the Quarter tour, piratesofthequarter.com.
Let's go. It's time. Put on. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. See us on our YouTube channel and follow our social media pages at PlayPantsPod.